Hi there, I'm Don Dawson. Somebody once said, "Don't believe everything you read." Well, this old proverb doesn't hold true in today's program. Irritants, sensitizers, corrosives, flammables, poisons, carcinogens. Like it or not, hazardous chemicals are a part of our lives. Many of us work around them every day. So we take precautions. We wear personal protective equipment and use safe work practices. But what if something goes wrong? A leak, a spill, or even a fire? Every chemical has different hazards. How should we deal with them in an emergency? Fortunately, the answers to these and other important questions can be found on a Hazardous Chemicals Material Safety Data Sheet. That's MSDS for short. The MSDS is basically a guide for the safe use of a hazardous chemical. It provides you with information about handling, storing, transporting, and working with the material safely. You should be aware that not all MSDSs are created equal. They come in a variety of formats with information arranged in different ways. Recently, ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, created a standard format for material safety data sheets. This is the format we'll be talking about. Let's call it the ANSI MSDS. The ANSI MSDS answers 4 basic questions that anyone who works around chemicals might ask. What is the material and what are its hazards? What should I do if a problem occurs when I'm working with this material? What precautions should I take to prevent problems? And finally, are there any other important things I should know about the material? Let's take a look at how the ANSI MSDS answers these questions. Section 1 of the ANSI MSDS lists the commonly used names of the chemical. The name, address, and phone number of the manufacturer is also given, just in case you need more information on the material. You will find the same chemical name and manufacturer on the container's label. Section 2 provides information on all of the hazardous ingredients of the material. Other non-hazardous ingredients may also be included. Section 3 identifies the hazards of the material. An emergency overview is provided first for quick and easy access. This describes the material's appearance, its physical form, color, and odor, to help identify the material if it escapes from its container. The emergency overview also lists the hazards that demand immediate attention in an emergency, with warnings such as harmful if inhaled or swallowed. Next, the potential health effects subsection gives more detailed information on possible routes of entry, the ways the material can get into the body, such as inhalation, ingestion, or contact with the eyes or skin. This section also identifies any symptoms you might experience if you are exposed to the material, the target organs or specific parts of the body that are most likely to be affected, and the type of health effects you could experience and how severe they could be. As you can see, sections 1, 2, and 3 answer our first basic question. They tell us what the material is and what the hazards are. This brings us to the next question. Accidents happen, so you must be prepared. Section 4 describes first aid measures that can be taken before medical assistance arrives. For example, first aid instructions for skin contact might be: remove contaminated clothing, wash skin with soap and water, get medical attention. A note to physicians may also be included. This might tell you that other specific medical treatment may be required after first aid has been administered. Section 5 of the ANSI MSDS provides information on fighting fires that involve the material. Firefighters and safety professionals use the flammable properties information found here to help them determine the safest ways to deal with the material. This section of the MSDS also lists which extinguishing media can safely be used to put out fires involving the material. These may include water, water fog, foam, carbon dioxide, and dry chemicals. Firefighting instructions are also provided to let firefighters know how to minimize the hazards the material may present in a fire. Section 6 tells you what to do in case of accidental releases, such as leaks or spills. Included in this section are general procedures for containing a leak or spill, cleaning up the hazardous material, and decontaminating clothing and equipment that comes in contact with the material. To review, MSDS Sections 4, 5, and 6 provide information on what to do if you run into problems when working with a hazardous chemical. But how can we prevent problems in the first place? Section 7 of the ANSI MSDS covers handling and storage practices. The handling instructions on the MSDS are often the same as the ones listed on the container label. For example, in this section you might see the caution, avoid contact with eyes, skin, and clothing. Make sure that containers are properly secured before moving. Section 7 also describes the appropriate storage conditions for the material. Factors to consider when storing a hazardous chemical include exposure to light, vibration in the area, ventilation, temperature, humidity, and atmospheric pressure. Section 8 of the ANSI MSDS addresses exposure controls and personal protection. This section describes any engineering controls, such as local exhaust ventilation systems and laboratory hoods, that are required to work with the material safely. The personal protective equipment you should wear, such as safety glasses, face shields, or rubber gloves, will be listed as well. Safety professionals refer to the exposure guidelines in Section 8 to help them determine the engineering controls and personal protection appropriate for the work you do. Section 9 of the ANSI MSDS describes the physical and chemical properties of the material. Your employer uses the properties listed in this section to help determine the safest work practices for your facility. Section 10 will indicate whether the material is chemically stable or dangerously unstable under normal conditions. It will also describe conditions that may make the material become unstable, such as heat, pressure, shock, or other physical stresses. Section 10 will also let you know if the material might react with another substance to create a hazardous situation, such as poisonous vapors, a fire, or an explosion. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The sections we just discussed, 7, 8, 9, and 10, tell you what precautions to take when working with hazardous chemicals. But this doesn't end our discussion on MSDSs. There's more. Sections 11 through 16 of the ANSI MSDS provide safety and health professionals with technical information on the material. Most of us won't need to consult these sections on a regular basis, but you should still take the time to become familiar with them. These sections address topics such as toxicological information, ecological information, disposal considerations, transport information, regulatory information, and other information about the material. These 16 sections make up the ANSI Material Safety Data Sheet, and while not all MSDSs are currently structured this way, they do contain the same kinds of information. Keep in mind that there are other sources of information on hazardous materials as well. Remember to read all container labels and warning stickers, and observe all posted warning signs. You should also be familiar with your company's standard operating procedures, hazard communication program, and emergency plans. If you have any questions about working with hazardous materials, talk to your supervisor or your company's safety manager. Material safety data sheets make it possible for you to work with chemicals safely. Let's review. Know where material safety data sheets are kept in your facility. Read MSDSs before you work with hazardous chemicals. Consult them while you work if you have any questions. Know where to find vital information on an MSDS in case of emergencies. When in doubt, ask for help. Talk to your supervisor. Material safety data sheets. You can definitely believe everything you read in these.